In this section, we will learn about complex numbers. The square root of a negative number is a complex number. The square root is the radical symbol, x is the radicand. So if x is less than 0, which is negative numbers, then the square root of x is a complex number. So here it is square root of negative 1. Then this number is a complex number. So always, if there is a complex number, then rewrite the complex number into the imaginary unit I. Then what's the imaginary unit I? That is square root of negative 1. So always, square root of negative 1 should be written in I form using the imaginary unit I. So replace square root of negative 1 with what? I, which is the imaginary unit I. So let's try some examples. Write each complex number in I form. So here's the square root of negative 36. And negative 36 can be written in a product of negative 1 and 36. Then these two factors, negative 1 and 36, can be separated using the square root times square root of 36. And the imaginary unit I. So imaginary unit I is the square root of negative 1. So replace this square root of negative 1 with I. So this is equal to I times square root of 36. Then square root of 36 is square root of 6 squared. Then this is equal to I times 6. And then using the commutative property, we can switch I and 6. So I times 6. We usually write the imaginary unit at the end of the number. So here is negative square root of negative 36 is equal to 6i. Okay, this is pretty long. There are lots of steps here. Can we skip all these steps? Yes, just look at this one. 36 is 6 squared, so you can write it as 6. And square root of negative 1. This negative becomes I. So you can write it like this. Okay, here's another example. Square root of negative 16 over 25. Okay, using the shortcut. 16 over 25 is 4 squared over 25 squared. So can I write it 4 over 5? Yes. How about square root of negative 1? Then this negative 1 becomes what? I. Okay, let's try another one. How about square root of negative 54? Okay, 54 is not a perfect number, so we have to rewrite 54 with the product of some squares. So let's find out those factors. 54 is, let's start with 2. Okay, then 2 times 27. And 27 is 3 times 9. 9 is 3 times 3. So 54 is a product of 3 squared times 2 and 3 are not the perfect numbers, so just multiply 2 and 3. Write it 6. Okay, and then this 3 squared, this 3 has power 2, and this power 2 cancel out the square root. So you can take this 3 out. And negative 1 times 6. Okay, so this is equal to 3 times. And 6 stays inside. And square root of negative 1, this becomes I. So this is equal to 3 times square root of 6i. So basically this is equal to 3 times square root of negative 1 times square root of 6. So the result is 3 times, this is I, times square root of 6. And put I at the end. Okay, let's try another one. The last example. Square root of negative 48 over 3. Okay, let's simplify inside. So negative 48. Okay, 48. Can we write this one as a product of some factors? Okay, let's try starting from 2. Then 24. 24 is 2 times 12. 12 is 2 times 6. And 6 is, okay, 6 is 2 times 3. So this is equal to 48 is equal to 2 squared times 2 squared times 3. So negative 48 is 2 squared times another 2 squared times 3. So that is equal to, you can take these two out, 2 times 2, square root of negative 1 times 3. Then 4 times square root of negative 1 times square root of 3. So finally this is equal to 4 times square root of 3 times square root of negative 1. That is imaginary number I. So this is the solution.